Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome everybody into the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Show on the Overreaction Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. My name is Joe Miller, and you can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired, alongside my co-host for this year's show, former Buffalo Bills offensive lineman Jerry Ostrowski. You can find him on Twitter at Ostrowski_Big O. We are so glad that you are joining us right now. Please do us a favor. Please like. Please subscribe, whatever platform you are consuming this presentation on. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a review if you can. Do whatever you got to do to not miss a single episode, whether live with us on YouTube or in podcast form on any podcast platform. My man, Jerry Ostrowski, this is our officially first off-season show. We got a lot to talk about. A lot happened last week. There's a lot of people consuming Buffalo Bills content right now with Sean McDermott getting fired and all the stuff that's going around One Bills Drive. But before we get into any of that type of stuff, how you doing, my man?
Good. Just contemplating whether I turn social media off this week or not. Maybe the next 2 weeks, actually. I just, I don't wish or care to partake in the bludgeoning of what should have been,
right,
and what is. I just kind of basically roll with what's up, and it is what it is. And so anyway, I'm fine, man. I'm actually fine. I'm really interested in trying to see and figure out what this ownership group, obviously McDermott or Pagula and Bean, are going to do as far as a head coach. Would have been a lot easier if they did this last year.
Yeah.
The candidates last year and the availability of guys was much better last year than this year. It's I think the way you look at it, Joe, is whatever you do, you're going to have to take a chance. You can psychoanalyze it. You can do whatever you want with this decision. Whatever they decide to do, you're going to have to take a chance, because I don't think there's anything that's just head and shoulders, cut and dry. This is what you need to do. And, so it should be an interesting week.
Yeah, it's before we talk about coaches and kind of what's going on and head coach potential candidates and hires and yada yada, you were alluding to just the fact that the Patriots are now on their way to the Super Bowl once again, and we're filming currently during the Seahawks and Rams game, which we might be done before this game is over. We'll see. I don't foresee us going forever on this program, and depending on how this game comes down to the end. That game was between the Broncos and the Patriots was, and I know that there was some weather, but it left you as a Bills fan wanting, like, we could have beaten either of these teams. We could have beaten the Broncos last week, and the Patriots now, obviously that game, if it's in New England and the Bills are in New England, well, the storm is still on, right? I mean, they're getting crushed with snow in Boston right now, in Foxborough. That game. But it's not as simple as our team is better than both of these teams, right, Jerry?
Yeah, I mean, as a former player, I don't live in that world.
Right.
I don't live in the coulda, shoulda, wouldas. I don't. I never have, and I never will. I think it's really kind of, first of all, it's not mentally healthy to live that way, and second of all, it's just you got to take the results as they come. And the Bills, we know this without getting into it and without really going into depth. They've had many opportunities this season to take control of the season and not be a 6 seed and be a number 1 seed, and they didn't do it.
Right.
Whether it was the Patriots, whether it was the Dolphins, the Falcons, the list goes on and on and on. So it's hard for me to live in the past. It's hard for me to live in what could have been. But today was just it was obviously an ugly game. It was unfortunate for Denver to not have their starting quarterback, although I think Stidham did a bang-up job for not playing for quite some time. But when it comes down to it, New England made more plays. The turnovers kill things, and the Broncos have a poor turnover, gives them a touchdown, and New England's going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, this is another one of those what could have been type of years, unfortunately. And I like what you said. You it's not healthy to do the shoulda, coulda, woulda, or woulda, coulda, shoulda, whatever, however you want to say that phrase. It's just look forward to next season and hopefully get over the proverbial hump, or the speed bump, as Steve Tasker, your former teammate, said on a wonderful rant on One Bills Live this week that was recorded by Pam Madonna, and she posted it all over Twitter and got some traction there. It is what it is, and we're going to find out. And I think all of Bills Mafia, for the most, probably NFC fans in a couple of weeks. Go ahead.
But why was what Tasker? Why is what Steve said so good? Because he said just that. This ain't a shoulda, coulda, woulda thing. I mean, I'm tired of sitting here talking about the Bills had multiple opportunities to take control of things and be the 1 seed, and they didn't do it.
Right.
And that's where you got to look at this. This isn't anybody else's fault but our own.
Right.
And now you've gone ahead and you've made a decision to replace the head coach, replace him, and everything else better be in line. But yeah, I mean, it was just one of those deals where, and that's what I loved about Tasker and what he said.
Mm-hmm.
None of this feel sorry for yourself. Oh, New England's in Super Bowl. Oh, we could have been there. Oh, we should have beat Denver. No, there's a lot of things that should have happened.
That's right.
We shouldn't have been on the road 3 weeks in a row.
That's right.
So anyway, it is what it is.
It is what it is as far as that goes. Speaking of the head coach search, if you will, the rumors are, the reports are, I don't know how long he will be, but Josh Allen is actually traveling with Pegula and Brandon Beane. Obviously, this is unscheduled, as Josh Allen probably expected to be well into his offseason vacation right now with his wet wife who is pregnant. What are your first overall arching thoughts of that? I don't think I have a problem with it. I think it kind of makes sense. But what are your thoughts as far as Josh being there for all those interviews?
I don't agree with it.
Really?
It's not a Josh's business. If you want to call Josh up in between interviews or different things and fill him in on what's going on, right, and maybe get your opinion, that's fine. I don't think you give a player the same voting power that the general manager has or the ownership has or whatever. I just players play, administrators make administrative decisions. That's the way I've always looked at it. You can ask about advice and everything, but let me ask you this, Joe.
Yeah.
What happens if a coach comes in and wants to talk about the dynamic of the quarterback or talk about do they go, Josh, can you leave the room for a while? We need to talk about you.
It's a great question.
We need to talk about you. So you go, go whatever, and we'll call you back in when it's time to. You can come in.
That's a great question, and I was going to take the opposite angle. Interestingly enough, which probably shouldn't surprise either of us because we've been doing this together for so long that you and I generally approach things from different angles, in a good way a lot of times. But I was going to take the angle of what if they're approaching all of these interviews, especially the interviews with the great offensive minds, or at least the perceived to be great offensive minds that we're told that they are. What if they're conducting these interviews the way that they conduct interviews at like the combine, when they bring in a player and they're around the other coaches, and like then they're not rapid firing questions, but what would you do? What do you envision? What do you see? Or right. What if they're breaking them down like that? And Josh has that capability to ask a question. Hey, in this situation, in that situation, what would you do? What do you think what do you see me doing? What would you have me do? I mean, it seems like that would make sense.
Well, the coach that's probably up for the job would say, "I'd have you not turn it over," is probably what he would say.
Yes,
I know it is what it is, man. I just don't understand that. Like, to me, there's got to be a line, right?
Yeah,
there's got to be a line, and I think that throughout time, it's like I keep going back to the same thing with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Alex Van Pelt's his quarterback coach. He comes back, all of a sudden he finds out Alex is fired. Nobody called Aaron Rodgers and asked him if Alex Van Pelt should be fired or not. They just told him he was fired, right?
Right.
That's the way it goes. And I just, and this is no slight against Josh. To me, Josh has enough things to worry about as a player.
It's true.
Okay, the last thing he needs to worry about is be player coach or player general manager as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's got enough stuff to worry about than have all that on his plate too. And especially a guy that it seems like personality-wise, he holds all that in. Like, he takes responsibility for all this. So now we've got him in on the interview process. We got him in on the selection process. And now what happens if that goes sideways? That he just eats all, that's my fault. It's just, I just don't know sometimes. Sometimes I think it's too much.
I think there's such a weird dynamic, and nobody can speak to it better, at least in my sphere of influence, than you and John, because you and John are former players. But you've said it. Josh is the franchise. I mean, Josh, as much as it's the head coach and the general manager and the owner, Josh is the franchise. And you got to feel there's an aspect of them wanting to keep him happy. I know that there's been stuff out there as well that like, oh, just hire a coach. Josh will play, the players play, and it is what it is, and blah, 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 blah. Players force themselves out of situations when they're not happy and if they don't feel like things are going to go the way that they want them to, whether right or wrong. I'm not saying he would be right in that. I mean, he could go south, and you got to feel like there's something to be said for making or keeping him happy. Maybe. I don't know.
Here's something that I want to that I think is pertinent to this, and I know it's corny, but I just hang with me. I think it has substance and it has meaning.
Got it.
Mike Tomlin always had a comment that he always made. The standard is a standard, right?
Yep.
And what that meant was, no matter if you're here, I'm here, whoever in this room is here or not here, the standard will always be the standard. The Pittsburgh Steelers are not there's no player above the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay? There's always the Steelers are going to be here for a long, long time.
Correct.
When you're here and you're not here. And I think that's the biggest thing with this situation. We need to build this thing to where the Buffalo Bills are the Buffalo Bills. And they're bigger than any one player.
It's interesting.
Even Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Okay. And we've I think part of the way this thing was built, and let's not put words in people's mouths and all this. I get it. He is that guy. Okay. So I'm not discounting his ability. I'm just trying to talk about structure and things and how things work within teams. And it's not his fault, but when we had the 17-year drought and he finally showed himself to us and came to the Western New York, right?
Wearing 17.
Yes, wearing a long tattered cloak and brown sandals and long brown hair and a beard. And he walked across the Niagara River. When this is kind of a product of the 17-year drought, right? Don't you think what I'm trying to say?
I mean, yes, I love the angle that you're coming from, because
he comes in and he gets us out of the doldrums of the 17-year drought and becomes what I still believe is the best quarterback in the NFL, bar none.
Right. No, I love the angle you're coming at, because you look at certain stoic franchises or stalwart franchises, the Steelers, no players above the Steelers. I mean, even when they had Ben Roethlisberger, he wasn't necessarily the franchise. You look at the Cowboys, as much as Aikman's Cowboys, I mean, he never superseded the organization. But then the opposite side of that is the Patriots and Tom Brady. Tom Brady was the organization. I mean, it's gone in both directions.
He was, but there was more to it than just him. Look at all the great players that have come through there. Look at all the Hall of Famers that have come through there. Robert Kraft is a Hall of Fame owner.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, so
and
anyway,
clearly, former Buffalo native, best tight end to ever play the game, Rob Gronkowski, was there as well. Let's hit a couple of these super chats real quick. John DeFazio with a super chat. Appreciate you, buddy. He says it's one of two fellas, and I think a few candidates may be coaching in another role: offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, QB and QB coach, Kubiak. I'm sorry, or Dayball and Rivers or Webb as QB coach. I don't want to talk about this yet because we're about to get into all of this. So just sit tight. We're going to get
we got to get to that because I think he's on to something, by the way. John's on to something. I kind of want to go with it.
Gotcha. Well, we can come back to it. Media, and then Jack Glimpse says the media already comparing May and Vrabel to Bill and Brady. It's early. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Well, I mean, we can come back to John's super chat if there's something that you want to necessarily hit off the top.
I if you want to save it until we get into the coaching talk, that's fine. Save it till we get into the coaching talk, but make sure you mark it and star it, because I think John's on to something, and I want to go back to it when we get into that area.
Starred. It is starred.
So appreciate it, John. Thank you.
Yes, but just to your point, it's an interesting concept, and I feel it's funny because, like, on the team that you were on, the Super Bowl teams, it wasn't just Jim; it was all of them. You know what I mean? Like that team was all. It wasn't the Bills and then the players. It was all those guys and the Bills. Like, even in that situation, I feel like they were larger than the franchise.
Well, they were the franchise,
right?
But I mean, that was kind of the Bills' identity, right?
Yeah.
And it's all I'm saying is I'm not trying to I'm not trying to, I think he should be asked about certain things. I think he should be brought in and talked to at certain things, but it's weird for me to have him in on all these conversations with every candidate. If that's what's going on, which they make it seem that way, who knows? Maybe he's got an iPad in his golf cart and he's playing golf down there, and some point in every interview they buzz him in and he gets on a Zoom call and then they buzz him out. I mean, that's, you
got to wonder too, and we don't know. Clearly, I'm sure if we asked questions to sources that somebody would have an inkling. Josh pined for Ken Dorsey, and then Ken Dorsey got fired, and there was comments that led up to that. I'm just running the plays that are called.
Right.
And then he said, and then he wanted Joe Brady. At least that's what we're told, right? That's what he has said in the media. And then he made similar comments this year about Joe Brady. I'm just running the plays that are called. I wonder how much you've made statements in the past on these shows, just that Josh would take more ownership and be more vocal in what he needs as a leader. I wonder if maybe that's part of this. Like, some of his get along to go along was like, Ken Dorsey be great, Joe Brady be great. And now it's more of I want the guy. I want the right guy.
No, the leadership I'm talking about is when Stephon Diggs is on the sideline acting a fool, he walks up to him and puts his hand on the V of his shoulder pad and says, get open on more than just a hitch route, and then I'll throw you the ball. Otherwise, shut up. That's the type of leadership I'm talking about. I'm not talking about running the team. We got enough $1 million tied up in guys running the team. I'm talking about on the field leadership is what I'm talking about.
Got it. Well, let's move on to the head coaching search with the last bit of time that we have here. Actually, before we do that, let's talk about the Anchor Bar. Let's talk about our, if I can find the graphic. There it is. For everybody, let's talk just a moment about the Anchor Bar and the Anchor Bar history. The Anchor Bar was founded by Frank and Teresa Bellissimo in 1935, Jerry. Anchor Bar initially specialized in Italian cuisine. The restaurant gained national acclaim when it invented the original buffalo chicken wing in 1964. And for those that don't know, that's not some special type of chicken wing. They invented the wing. They invented the buffalo chicken wing, quickly becoming a local treasure and a must-visit for food lovers. Currently serving over 15 million pounds of chicken wings annually. Anchor Bar's bottled wing sauce is also available in more than 4,000 supermarkets worldwide. Customers can even order the famous buffalo chicken wings online and have them shipped across the country. You can also order the sauces. If you do not have a local location in your hometown yet, this is a great option to have them shipped overnight to your front door. Anchor Bar is the proud recipient of the prestigious James Beard Award. James Beard is known as the Oscar of Foods. Anchor Bar received this medal for their wings and another medal for their sauces, of which they have, 24 different sauces and a bunch of rubs.
Yep.
You get all kinds of crazy stuff. So 17 different locations around the country. If you need to know or want to know if they've got one near you, get on Anchor Bar's website. Go there, anchorbar.com. And then find out if there's one next to you. But that's one of our wonderful Buffalo. I love supporting Buffalo brands, Jerry. And that's a good one that we get to support, and they get to support us, which is great. So moving into the candidates. So I'm going to read you the list of guys that have been interviewed. And then I've got some Wikipedia stuff pulled up just if we have questions. And then we'll kind of just get thoughts. I'm going to go through the list first. So Joe Brady has interviewed. Brian Daboll has interviewed. Lou Anarumo has interviewed. Phillip Rivers has interviewed. Anthony Lynn has interviewed. Anthony Weaver has interviewed, who's the Dolphins defensive coordinator. Grant Udinsky, offensive coordinator from the Jaguars, has interviewed. Mike McDaniel was scheduled but canceled, and they're supposedly keeping in touch. And then Davis Webb is a reported candidate, along with Clint Kubiak. Now, when you look at these guys, Joe Brady is now scheduled for a second interview or completed the second interview with the Raiders. Brian Daboll, we all know, West Seneca native, graduated from St. Francis, has been here before, has been around the block and back again. The best Josh Allen has ever looked as a quarterback was when Brian Daboll was his offensive coordinator. Lou Anarumo is a guy known for shutting down the Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills offenses, so he has a decent resume. However, he's not coming here as a defensive coordinator because that is the role he has now. He would have to be promoted to a head coach. Phillip Rivers, I know that I'm stuck there. But as we go through these, I don't want to go through them all by myself. Joe Brady. First thoughts on kind of Joe Brady, Jerry?
No, it can't be Joe Brady. In my opinion, but let me go back to this. All right, let me bring this back up. The super chat by John. He says it's one of two fellas, and I think a few candidates may be coaching in another role: OCDC quarterback coach, Kubiak or Dable, Rivers or Webb quarterback coach. John, I think, is on to something, and this is where I'm racking my brain. Okay. I really think that they want Daboll back here as at least the offense coordinator. I think they might be. This is my opinion. I think, and if I'm looking into things correctly, I think maybe they're hung up a little bit on making him the head coach. All right. I think, first of all, how do you bring a head coach in fresh off of, it'd be one thing if he had somewhat success. I guess they did have, he was coach of the year his first year in New York.
Playoffs,
and then they just plummeted, right?
Yep. And they were horrible the year before he got there.
Right. So if they can get around that, if Pagula and Bean can get around that, that's fine. Okay, then make Daboll your head coach.
Right.
But I think that there's still some hang-up stuff. I mean, there were some questionable things on the sidelines with him this season. the screaming match with the doctors, the blue tent thing. It's one thing to have a temper as OC and slam the iPad down. It's another thing to do it as the head coach. So maybe they're thinking, well, it's too much to make him head coach. We want him here as OC. So then who is the vessel? Who is the vessel as head coach that makes Daboll the OC and says, yeah, sure, I'll hire Daboll as the head coach. Bring him on.
Wait,
you know what I'm saying? There's the OC, excuse me. I'll bring Daboll on as the OC. Let's go. So that's kind of where I was looking at it. So it's just, I think that's kind of maybe something they're looking at is how do I get Daboll back to be that guy?
So let's start with Brian Daboll. He's second on this list. I agree. We don't even need to talk about Joe Brady. I don't think Joe Brady's the guy either. So we can just pass right over there. Brian Daboll's the second one on the list. For me, if Brian Daboll gets hired, somehow it's because there was a decent relationship between him and Brandon Beane, even though him and McDermott at the end didn't get along. Obviously, Josh Allen is more than not going to pound the table, but probably is going to be okay with Brian Daboll. There's a lot to be said for people complaining about the run game. Oh, when Brian Daboll was here, the run game was horrible. Well, he didn't have James Cook either. The Bills' run game has been horrible until James Cook became James Cook.
Right.
You can't tell me that the Giants had a horrible run game with Saquon Barkley, because they didn't. And Brian Daboll did what he did with Daniel Jones and actually was getting a lot out of Jackson Dart before he got fired. There's other people as well that don't like how feisty or fiery he was in some of the training camp practices, but Sean McDermott has been known to be, Drew from Rock Power Report talks about being at the very first, Sean's first year as a training camp head coach, and the fact that he sat the whole team down during one of the practices and just laid into him, up one side and down the other. That's not abnormal. And I think you would agree, you got to have some passion and fire from your head coach.
Right.
Now, there is some things that have happened as far as that goes. I don't know his ability. My biggest concern about Brian Daboll is who is he bringing in as the staff on the defensive side of the football?
Well, right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And I don't, here's the thing. I don't have a problem with Daboll being the head coach. I don't. I'm not saying I do. I'm talking through scenarios.
Yes, right.
And the hardest thing for people to do is to listen to somebody talk through scenarios and understand that's what they're doing and not using that as gospel or preaching, right?
Right.
I don't care if they hire him or not. Honestly, I personally think that's who's going to end up being hired for the job is Daboll.
I feel like it might be Clint Kubiak, and I want, when we get to Clint Kubiak, I'll tell you why.
If Seattle wins this game, I don't think that they'll wait around 2 more weeks for Kubiak.
You might be right. That's
granted, the Rams are driving and getting ready to score, which could change things heavily, but I don't know if they'd wait 2 weeks for Kubiak, and that might be.
Let's get to so Brian Daboll. Who he's going to bring in for a staff to me is a bit of a concern. We've seen NFL coaching situations in the past where the NFL coach, the head coach is one of an offensive character, if you want to say it that way, and then like doesn't really have control over the defense. There's a guy hired that runs the defense, and they kind of like co-coach together. I'm not saying it's ideal. It is what it is. My biggest concern is who's he bringing in from a staff standpoint. I don't want to see this defense overhauled from a 4-3 to a 3-4. I'd like him to find a nickel 4-2 guy because that's how we're stacked. And then if they wanted to make some small changes and kind of like morph, we don't have the time or the money to overhaul. Let's do Clint Kubiak next, even though Lou Anarumo's on the thing. Clint Kubiak comes from coaching pedigree, which who's his dad again? It just escaped me.
Gary Kubiak?
Gary Kubiak, yes. The Denver Broncos head coach that won a Super Bowl with Peyton Manning. So he's got stock as far as that goes. Maybe not the line of a Shanahan, but there is some stock there. Kubiak, if you watched the Seahawks play football, they are a well put together offense. I think what's interesting about Clint Kubiak, for me, Jerry Ostrowski, is the fact that Sam Darnold is playing for Clint Kubiak, and Josh and Sam are like really super close friends. And I feel like there's an aspect of some phone calls. Hey, what do you think about playing for Clint? Because if there's somebody that's played for a lot of bad teams and a lot of bad OCs, it's Sam Darnold. So I think there's an actual opportunity here. The waiting 2 weeks thing is a big deal. But I think there's an opportunity for Clint Kubiak to potentially be the head coach of the Bills just because they could be getting inside information from Sam as far as what Sam thinks of Clint.
Yeah.
My point is it's not just a rogue great offensive mind that like nobody has any connection to, and are we going to wait for this guy?
I get it. I mean, but the thing is, he's still young in the process too.
Yes,
that's what I'm saying. It's like when you look at this hiring cycle, there are no slam dunks. Really, the only known commodity to us anyway is Brian Daboll. We all know who Brian Daboll is. We know what he is. We know what he brings to the table. We know that Josh Allen played really well under him as when he was the OC. We know what Daboll is. So, that's the only probably hire they can make with no uncertainties, right?
Right.
Davis Webb is like 8 years old. Kubiak is about 15 or 16. Ladinsky is about 12.
Let's go to Davis Webb before we move on to somebody else, because Davis Webb is interesting because the Buffalo Bills never wanted him to go to the Giants. The Buffalo Bills, he was the third string quarterback with the Bills when Josh was here, and I don't remember if it was Trubisky or who it was at the time that was the backup quarterback. It may have been Matt Barkley. When Daboll left for the Giants, Davis Webb went with him, and it was widely known that the Bills wanted him to become the quarterback's coach. They wanted him to transition from a player to the QB coach because they saw that potential in him. However, young, and he's not an offensive coordinator. He's a quarterback's coach. However, Mike McDaniel was never an offensive coordinator before he became a head coach. And there were people like crazy after Mike McDaniel when they heard the Bills were going to hire him, which I thought was not crazy, but I was just like, I don't want that guy. But other than his age or his young or his immaturity as far as in the coaching ranks, Jerry, could it work?
McDaniel?
No, Davis Webb. No, McDaniel's done.
Davis Webb? Yeah, it could work. I mean, it could work, but everybody's telling me the best friend of the quarterback, which
Josh has a lot of best friends, it seems.
Right. If they're letting the quarterback be a part of the decision making, I mean, what's the big deal, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's so crazy. It's just really crazy.
Is there a world of Brian Daboll and Davis Webb? Right.
Yes, and that's the point I was trying to make with John with Devon was saying earlier.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. There's a combination here that's going to happen, whether it's Daboll and Webb, Daboll and Rivers, and I think y'all are crazy if you. I don't think Rivers will be the head coach, but I think Rivers has a very good chance of being on the next coaching staff.
Another point to the Davis Webb is Davis Webb played for Brian Daboll and then went to New York with Brian Daboll.
Right.
So there is an absolute connection there.
Right.
And this would be a promotion for him. Lou Anarumo, the only real I guess Lou Anarumo and Anthony Lynn and Anthony Weaver are all the defensive minds on here. I don't know that we necessarily need to hit those. The big question mark, you just said it, Phillip Rivers.
But let me go back to your Anarumo thing real quick.
Anarumo,
is that a possibility where you bring him in to be the head coach and you pair Daboll with him? Do you know what I'm saying? I just think that there's Daboll to me is going to be a part of this somehow, some way. It's just a matter of what capacity will it be.
Well, Dable has to be willing to come back as the OC. Do you think that's a slight to him? He's got an offer on the table from Tennessee.
Yeah.
And who was it that said that they were going to Tennessee? Do you remember? Who
Robert Saleh.
Robert Saleh, that's right. Is now the Tennessee Titans head coach.
Do you want to work with Cam Ward? He didn't work with Josh Allen.
I think for his resume, it says more if he does something with Cam Ward. If he's able to say, look what I did with Josh Allen. I drafted Jackson Dart and had great success before I got fired. And now look what I've done with Cam Ward. I feel like that immediately pushes him into head coach territory again.
Well, he'll be in head coach territory again, whether he coaches Josh Allen or Cam Ward. I mean, and who's to say he's not going to be in head coaching territory here in a couple days? As far as being selected by the Bills.
But I feel like, to your point, Brian Dable and a Davis Webb makes sense. I don't know that Grant Udinsky and Davis Webb makes sense. I don't know that. I mean, if Davis Webb.
Well, the thing that I don't like about that, Joe, is you got two kids.
Right.
You know, I think that if you bring somebody in as a super young head coach, then you got to have something to offset that a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, a veteran guy or something. I mean, that's why I think that, like, although it's kind of blowing up lately, I mean, I think that's why Sirianni worked so well in Philly, because you had Vic Fangio coaching the defense, and you had a solid, you know, veteran coach on that side of the ball.
Right.
I mean, I just think that, you know, whatever happens, I truly believe that somehow, some way, Dayball is connected with this. And honestly, I think he's the favorite to get this job. I can't see him not getting it.
Well,
it'd be hard for me to not have him involved in this somehow, some way.
I think Anthony Weaver is currently out of a job. The defensive coordinator for the Dolphins. So he could be hired. However, Googling it, Anthony Weaver is a 3-4 defensive coach, which I have no interest in.
Well, these guys can change too. They don't always have to run 3-4s and 4-3s. I mean, they can coach ball. I've
just lived it. I've lived it where they destroyed a defense. Jim Schwartz is out there as well, right? So Jim Schwartz.
Honestly though, Joe, we're a nose guard away from being more towards a 3-4 personnel wise. I mean, we don't have any. I mean, if we're going to stay with the 4-man front, we got to get a couple of sizable guys inside.
Big dudes.
We can't continue to roll with undersized defensive tackles.
All right, let's jump to. You're right. Let's jump to Phillip Rivers, the biggest question mark on here. I hate this idea of him being the head coach because it was tried with Jeff Saturday by the Colts and it failed miserably. He won his first game. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, this is the answer," and then it went completely south. I like Phillip Rivers. I don't not like Phillip Rivers. I don't know what the connection is between Phillip Rivers and Josh Allen. You are a former player. Could somebody just drop you into a head coaching position in the NFL and you're like, I got this?
You know, Phillip Rivers has been coaching though.
High school.
He's been coaching other things as well. I mean, he's fine. I mean, he can coach if he needs to coach, but I don't think he'll be the head coach. But I do think there's a good chance he'll be on the staff.
Right.
I'll tell you what, whatever Catholic school there in Buffalo is going to be happy if he does show up, because they're going to have 10 tuitions walking in the door.
14 more coming.
What is that down St. What's the one out towards?
Is it St. Joe's?
Yeah.
So St. Joe's is a big football program here in Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and St. Francis. St. Francis is another one. So if I'm not mistaken. Grant Udinsky. Don't know much about him.
Well, one thing about Udinsky is we grew up in the same area in Pennsylvania. He's from Doylestown. He's from the same place that remember Mike Pettin?
Yes, Mike Pettin, who just they just interviewed him and he didn't.
Yeah, he just completely blasted. Was it Stefanski?
He didn't blast him. He said, "I'd prefer not to."
Yeah, I prefer not to talk about him. Yeah, well, they're from the same place. They're from CB West. Gotcha. Pettin's dad was the all-time, like, one of the winningest high school coaches in Pennsylvania. He was a guru guy, and he followed. Then they went to North Penn, and then he got into pro coaching. But yeah, that's where Udinsky's from, the same area.
Gotcha. I liked Mike Pettin, especially when he was the Browns head coach. I know it didn't necessarily go well. There's some interesting things and combinations that are out there. There are no slam dunks. Thank God we aren't the Steelers, Jerry, because they just hired Mike McCarthy, which was the of the week. Like that was the Steelers are either going to prove their genius by hiring Mike McCarthy and not firing him for 15 or 20 years, or for the first time in their history, they're going to fire a coach after 2 or 3. I don't know where this is going, but I was completely floored when they hired Mike McCarthy.
I think the Rooneys are pretty shrewd.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at Pittsburgh, their issue's not been defense.
No.
Okay, they've got defensive talent. They can sack the quarterback. They can make plays.
They're great players.
They have been incredibly deficient on offensive side of the ball.
Arthur Smith.
Wherever McCarthy has gone, the quarterbacks have excelled.
Yeah, true.
And they have scored points. So the other thing is that I don't know if anybody knows this or not, but McCarthy is also a Pittsburgh native.
Yes.
Went to Pitt and all that. So, I think that that's as much as I think somebody on Twitter said that replacing Mike Tomlin with Mike McCarthy is like crapping your pants and going in and changing your shirt. While I thought that was kind of interesting, I actually think the McCarthy pick signing isn't as bad as people want to make it out to be.
John DeFazio with a second super chat. Appreciate you, John, for being a part of the show.
Thank you, John.
Another interesting point is the fact that Dable will coach Josh Hard. Love Kubiak. However, the DC, the defensive coordinator, is the most important hire for the new offensive head coach, which I agree. I disagree with time frame. Main thing is landing the best guy, which I think we would all agree with that. What are your thoughts on this, Jerry?
I like the aspect of Daboll as far as coaching Josh Hard. That's why if you kind of read between the lines or read the tea leaves, so to speak, of what I've been talking about not wanting him involved in the hiring process, I think that's part of it. Okay, there's got to be a line drawn at some point in some. Do you want to be the next head coach and the guy that you're trying to coach up is in there, and your career's in his hands and he's saying yay or nay? I mean, obviously, I know Pagula and Bean have to make the final decision, but still, it is what it is. But no, I agree with that. Daboll coaching him hard and getting after him. I think that'd be something that he would actually. I think Josh would actually like that. I think it was Fitz the other day on Fitz and Wit podcast. Fitz actually made the comment for Josh to get to the next level of his career. He's got to be coached hard.
So there's two things. The first one is the way that Dable used to coach him. Dable used to coach him somewhat hard, which we've seen the slamming of the Surface, the Microsoft Surface on the sideline. And Josh has spoken to Dable just being like, not in his grill, but the way that he used to coach him, and Josh took to that. The second one that isn't often talked about, Josh Allen actually made, in my opinion, 2 leaps. One was the first big leap, the Josh Allen leap, year 3, when Dable showed up, and Josh Allen in 2020 became Josh Allen. The second one was when Stephon Diggs showed up, and Stephon Diggs was very much kind of like in his grill about getting things right and getting routes and passes right and demanding certain things from his quarterback so that they could be on the same page and excel. And we saw what that did for the two of them in chemistry. And in my opinion, Jerry, you can speak to this if you'd like to or not. I feel like that presence, once it deteriorated, has affected this offense and the page that he's on with his wide receivers, because he doesn't have anybody that's demanding the way that Stephon Diggs to Josh Allen, the way that he's performing, throwing routes, where expectations and all that kind of stuff.
That's part of it. But I think that if you went ahead and you did a psycho analysis of Josh Allen and you said, okay, we're gonna pick a dog that reminds me of Josh Allen, right? What would Josh Allen be if he was a dog? He'd be a big, beautiful golden retriever.
I was going to say golden retriever.
Just a big, happy golden retriever
that
wants to go get the tennis ball and wants to make his owner happy and proud all the time, right? And he wants to make everybody in the house happy.
Yes.
And that's Josh. He wants to make everybody happy. If he runs the ball in too many times, after James Cook runs it down to the 2-yard line and he runs it, he feels bad that James Cook didn't get the touchdowns.
Right.
There's just, he never wants to show anybody up. He wants everybody to be happy, kumbaya, right? And I think that's where if you have that Daboll presence or somebody there that really puts the screws to him and makes him accountable in the moment, I think that's why he takes to it, because it gets him out of his comfort zone a little bit, gets him out of what he likes to do, which is one big happy family.
It's a wonderful comp, because even when you think about golden retrievers, and if you are in the circle of the golden retrievers friend circle, they just, everything that you just said is absolutely true.
Right.
If you get them with another golden receiver and you're playing fetch with them, it's immediate competition, and I will die to get the ball before you do. Like, and that's how he is with the opposing team. He's like, go ahead.
Yeah, you're right, Joe. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but there is a prime example in the offseason. If you want to see Josh Allen as the ultimate competitor, go on YouTube and watch some of the YouTube golf matches he has with. He plays with Darnold, like you said, they're boys, and Kyle Allen. Those three. That's right. Josh Allen, Kyle Allen, and Darnold. And they'll play Bob Does Sports. And they'll do 3-on-3s. And then there's the match where him and John Rahm played against Phil Mickelson and Grant Horvat. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about competition? I mean, that dude just, anything he possibly can to win, right? So don't ever get that diluted. Don't ever get that to thinking he's not that. I mean, like I said before, he is an apex predator, apex competitor, but unlike a lot of apex competitors, he's also an apex teammate.
Yes.
And that leads to the wanting to make everybody happy thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's what movie am I thinking of? Oh, well, there's a movie reference that I can't think of where, like, a player all of a sudden returned to being a giant prick, and like everybody in the locker room was like, we're going to win, because like he became was it The Best of Times? I think it was The Best of Times with Kurt Russell and Robin Williams. I don't know if you remember that movie or not.
I remember the movie.
When he came out with his white shoes and he got mad, he's like, we're going to win now. Anyway, sorry about that.
No, I get it.
My brain goes to movies all the time.
But no, I think the big thing with this coaching hire is, and you want to have to wait around 2 weeks, but I'll tell you what, if you hold a bunch of interviews and there's nobody that has caught your attention, and the Seahawks hold on to win this game tonight, you most definitely wait around 2 weeks to make sure that Kubiak's not the guy that you need for because unlike other people that think that, oh yeah, I mean, if we get somebody that don't work, we'll just get rid of them and get another one. I mean, you don't want that.
Right.
You don't want that. You want stability. You got to make the best, you want to make the best hire you can. So it's just a weird one, Joe, because there's really no cut and dry to me. It's
right.
There's no cut and dry.
Yeah. Reno Hightower was Kurt Russell's character in that movie as a quarterback. So if for any of you if any of you are interested in football movies, it's an old one. It's a pretty good movie. It's worth watching if you've got a Saturday that you're snowed in on, like this weekend was.
And by the way, you want to know how good Kubiak is?
How good?
Sam Darnold's 25 of 36 for 346 and 3 touchdowns.
That's pretty good. And he's got a run game. Kenneth Walker III is just a freaking. That's the thing that impresses me about the Seattle offense is the pace at which the running backs go. Like they run every running back, even the new kid that's in for Charbonnet that's out right now it runs like Pacheco does in Kansas City, where they run like they hate the ground. Every play, no matter what the score is, where they are in the game, every running back is running 110 miles an hour. Like, it's impressive.
Right. I think
offense. And
I do think that Rob makes a good point. He says, why would Kubiak want Daboll as his OC? Daboll's on say, I don't see that combo working well. I think you're right. I think that, like I was saying, I think Daboll's part of the equation, but if you were to get a guy like a Kubiak or something, then that probably doesn't work.
It still could be Davis Webb, though.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you get one of these, other guys, but like a known commodity like a Kubiak, then that probably doesn't work.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get us out of here, Jerry, as we've spent a good amount of time talking about this. We're going to be talking about this all off season, right? At least until the Bills hire somebody, and then we're going to be talking about it through the off season. But any final thoughts before I get us out of here?
No, I think it's just, you're going to have to be patient and see what happens. And I think we're all in the same situation, but I also don't think that this is, we shouldn't be walking around going, I'm ashamed to be a Bills fan. We're the most dysfunctional franchise in the league. I can't believe we're not.
No,
we're not. This is the difference is we haven't done anything like this in like 10 years.
Right.
Okay. So we're not used to it.
Right.
And it's taken us way out of our comfort zone. It's the first hiccup that this franchise has had since climbing out of the 17-year drought. So that's why it feels foreign. That's why it feels a little bit dirty or nasty, but we're no different than nobody else. And this franchise is still one of the better franchises in the league. And, you know, hey man, I ride or die with the Bills all the time, and I will until I'm 6 feet under, man. It's just how it's going to be. So y'all can be ashamed all you want. This is my family, dude. Your family's your family. You can't pick your family, and I picked my family, and hey, I'm good with it.
Ride or die. So this week,
coming
up on the Overreaction Sports Network, tomorrow, Monday, John put it out there on Twitter, on X, that his father has passed. Chuck has passed.
Yeah.
So you are going to be doing the off tackle, Salem's off tackle with John Fina show. Do you have a plan for that yet, or is it just no plan yet? So
I have no idea what I'm going to do.
So tomorrow, Jerry Ostrowski is going to be filling in for John, and I don't know if I'm available either. So we'll figure that out, but we will have a Salem's off tackle show tomorrow. Tuesday, on the beat with Matt Perino. I'll be interviewing Matt Perino on the head coaching search and everything.
Oh, really?
That's going on. Yep. And then Wednesday, 7 days to Sunday with Jerry Ostrowski and the real voice, Zig Fracassi from Sirius NFL Radio. But so good to have every single one of you joining us here on the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Show on the Overreaction Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. Appreciate every one of you joining us. Settle in for the next 2 weeks. Turn off your social media if you have to, if you don't want to listen and hear about the other team from the AFC that's going to be there. But to Jerry's point, but as always, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. A lot of good stuff coming up this offseason. But for me, for John, for Jerry, for all of us here at Overreaction, go Bills.
Much love, folks. Go Bills.
Go Bills.